Whoa, we're live. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
I'm not everybody, but it's going well.
How's it going, Jason?
It's good. It's good. Feeling a lot better. I was still pretty swollen over here. I got a dental implant. I lost a molar several months ago. So I've been down this road of I decided to not just leave a hole and get an implant.
Mhm.
Pro tip, kind of is very expensive and kind of sucks. So I don't know if I would do it again, but I'm already far enough down the road that I'm definitely doing it.
Well, I mean, and insurance, let's face it, dental insurance in this country is
Yeah,
not that
it's
great.
not great. Yeah, I mean, and ours doesn't cover any implants. Apparently, a lot of dental does not cover implants, so
Right.
they'll cover the crown once the actual implant's in, but they won't cover the implant itself. So it's expensive, and I was felt pretty good yesterday, but this whole side of my face was numb, and then when it started wearing off, like yesterday evening, it was pretty miserable. So,
Oh, man.
but it's quite a bit better today.
Well, everybody, welcome to Business Technicalities. We're live. We're having fun. We're enjoying life, and we're talking about customers, clients, however you not want to name them. They're the ones that pay your bills. They're the ones that allow you to put food on your table. They're the ones that allow you to hire employees. They're the ones that give you the things you have today. Because if they weren't paying, well, guess what? You don't have a business, right?
Yep, I agree with that.
Um, I mean, so Jason, I was telling you that, or I was telling you, I hate when I say that. I was discussing with you.
You,
Um,
let's be real. You were telling me.
uh, no, okay. So I had a discussion with you yesterday that I've added to our sales meeting an educational segment. Every Monday we have a sales meeting, and I'm starting to add educational segments into that sales meeting just so that we as a team can learn. And what I'll start to do is have one of our people on the team actually lead that 5 minute discussion.
Yep.
And as we will round robin that, and it's going to be cool. But I talked about yesterday, why do customers leave your company? And why do they choose to leave? And I know people have heard this, and I know you've seen many books and you've seen many slides and everything, but it's important to know why your customers leave. And there's really only five reasons why a company leaves. Um, so before I kind of go over that, any thoughts on this, Jason?
No, I mean, I have lots of thoughts on it. I mean, it's pretty well established, I think, at this point that I'm an opinionated asshole,
Mhm.
for lack of a better word here.
I
Uh,
wouldn't say asshole. I'd just say opinionated. How about that?
yeah, I mean, we're more than 90 seconds in, so I won't demonetize us. Well, not that we're monetized, but I won't penalize us for
Right.
hearing. The So I tend to have opinions on a lot of things, and but you kind of pitched this topic this morning, and I'm like, sure, this sounds great. You can run with it. So I don't have any notable immediate opinions, but I'm sure I will
Okay.
have them to everything you are about to say.
Well, it's when you think about the reasons why, that five reasons that people will leave your company, and I'm not going to show this on the screen because, well, we're live and I don't want to mess it up and anything, but I'm going to talk about the list. And it's first one
If you
is,
send me the list, I will pop it up because I am
oh,
confident that I won't mess it up.
well, yeah, you're true on that one. Let me do that. You just want me to send you this? I could do
Yeah.
that real quick. It's just a PowerPoint.
Oh, it's a PowerPoint. Blah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. Let's cancel that for a second here. All right, copy, and it's going into Slack right now.
Yep. So no white noise. You know that. Like we can't. Oh, okay. Those are the five. That's not a
Yeah,
PowerPoint slide.
no, I just copied them for you off
Oh,
the
okay.
PowerPoint slide. So, I mean, first and foremost, let's put this one up. They die or are no longer in
Yep.
business.
Yep.
Um,
That's a true statement. That is
I
a
mean,
good way for somebody to not use your company anymore or use you for work anymore is that they don't
yeah,
exist.
right. And so when you think about that, and die or no longer in business, that's only really 4%.
Yep.
4% of clients that's going to happen within your business. But number two is they're unhappy with the price. And I'm shocked about this one because you would think, and everybody says, "Oh, they left me because I was too expensive," or they left me because I was, starting to raise or increase my rates on things. Honestly, they're unhappy with the price. They'll leave you. It's only 9%. 9% of people will leave you because of price.
So where's this data coming from while we're doing this?
This is Harvard Business Journal was
Okay.
where I got some of this data. Greg Gray was a person that I know. He does a lot of speaking on customer experience. A friend of mine, him and I were at Allstate together, and he also discussed this as well. So
Okay.
they are unhappy with the price is only 9%.
Yep.
Let's look at they're unhappy with the product. That's only 5%. So when you think about unhappy with the product or price, that is less than 15% of why customers leave you. They're unhappy with the service. 14%. So when you look at they're unhappy with service. So they called and they asked a question, or they had a technical issue and it got resolved or didn't get resolved. Only 14% of companies will leave you because they're unhappy with the service. The biggest one, and the one that we have been talking about, we talked about at IT Nation about the customer experience, and we've been really hounding that within CNWR since IT Nation, is 68% of clients will leave you because of an attitude of indifference. You think so? An attitude like they don't care about me, or they don't even talk to me, because we all have those clients that we get hyper focused on because they're calling us all the time. They have service issues. We're having to go out and do technical support on site or remote,
Yep.
and we hyper focus on those. But what about those clients that call us once every couple months, or haven't called us in 6 months, but yet they're still continuing to pay for a service? And the attitude of indifference really boils down to value. They're not they don't think you care about them. They don't think you value them, and
Yep.
they don't understand the value you are bringing to them. So, we have, Jason, you prior to me coming here, have set up a really good system with account management and sales executives. And account management being, and I know you're not the one to design it, but you set it up here at CNWR, and it is a good system with that account manager going out there and taking that 68% of people that would leave a company and showing value, showing that, yes, we do care, showing the customer that, yes, we understand you. Without you, we are nothing. But here's what we bring to the table. For those last 6 months that you haven't called us, these are the things we did behind the scenes that you never knew about. And these are the different tickets that maybe you didn't know came through
Yep.
on security incidents. So those are just some of the things we're doing. And so, thoughts, Jason?
So some of this comes back down to what we talked about last time we were on, which is showing value, right? Like it's the
I
customers
just saw that
forget.
my shocks clip. Sorry, I do have a
Yeah,
really good mic, but if I do that, you might hear the dog bark.
that's fine. So we constantly, a customer can perceive that you're indifferent or that you just aren't caring when it's actually not true.
Yeah,
They need periodically reminded of the fact that you care. Right. So
right.
it goes back to the showing value discussion that we had last week, right? That clients are essentially, they want to feel taken care of, right? Especially in our industry, we are everyone forgets that in the end, we are a service business and customer
Hmm.
service is king, right? So they if they don't feel like they're getting good customer service and they don't feel like you matter or they matter to you, then eventually they will leave 100%.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And studies have shown that over and over and over again. It's not about what you do, it's how you do it. It's how and it's customer perception. It's
Yep.
not our perception. It's not what we think, because there might be times that we have clients that their perception of us never showing up is a good thing because they think they know we're doing something. But we don't know our customers' perception. So we have to do the things that we need to do on our end in account management to go and meet with clients and have those discussions. We have to do that until a client tells us, you know what? I don't need to see you every month, or I don't need to see you every 2 or 3 months. Once you come in once a year, we can have a talk and everything. But you won't know that until you figure out by going and meeting with these clients.
Yeah, I actually argue that even that doesn't work, right? Like, because
Okay.
they will. People are fickle beings, right? Like, they will be, even if they tell you that they only want to see you once every 6 months. If they had a bad experience and you don't come talk to them, then they're going to go right back. Well, wow, what am I paying these people all this money for? They're not even taking care of me the way they used to, right? Like, and so so much of this is just being in front of them and trying to get in front of that.
I agree. I think that's one thing with account management is looking at the tickets. Look and looking at what clients are going through and how they're interacting with us, and be able to call and say, "Hey, I noticed that you had this issue going on. How do you feel everything went on your end? Because I see that we completed everything. Is everything okay on your end?" And just
Well, not
having a
even
conversation.
you don't even necessarily need your account managers to do that, right? Like, one of the things, Matt literally just sent a message, like, I think yesterday, basically laying out our present expectations for ticket complete, right? Like,
Yeah.
if the ticket's done and it shouldn't be 5 more emails back and forth with the client trying to confirm whether or not it's done and they're satisfied. Just pick up the phone and call them, right? That's the biggest thing here, right? Is that, like, the emails out of the ticketing system are very
Sterile.
sterile. Yeah, like, they don't exactly give you warm and fuzzies, right? Like, so you want to leave a good impression in their mouth, right? And you don't want any ambiguity as to whether or not you actually solved their issue, right? You may think you solved it, but in more than one occasion, what we actually believe the problem is not actually what the customer thinks the problem is. So we fixed the wrong problem. It may be a problem that we fixed, but the customer did not do a good job of explaining what their actual problem to us is. So we fixed the wrong thing.
Yeah, perception.
Yeah.
That's it, and the client and customer perception is everything. You think about when you know as take yourself into the client role. You are a customer of somebody, right?
Yep.
You're a customer of Amazon. You're a customer of Google, whatever it may be. You are a client of somebody that's either remote, online, and you don't totally interact with. But yet let's look at the people that shop on Amazon. They don't have a human interaction. And if there's a bad deal, they get a refund and this and that, and it's all done electronically. But when the business owner is paying for a large sum of money, and that is a perception as well, to you as a company, they expect a certain interaction.
Yeah.
And that interaction, I believe, first interaction should always be a phone call. I think that's the first. Even if a client's reached out to you via email and they're upset about something, you pick up that phone and call.
Yeah, 100%. We could do we should do a whole video about methods of communications. I mean, we all know I have a million, right? Like, and you struggle with that sometimes, the proper way to get it, because I'm like, why are you huddling me? Like, call me. And then you call me. I'm like, why are you calling me? Email me, right? Like, it's we all have preferred methods of communications, and clients do too, right? So I think that is a larger discussion that we're definitely not going to get through in like the next 15-20 minutes here. But you generally, if you perceive that there is upsetness, right? So, like, if the sentiment of the email, if you analyze it and determine that it's negative or angry, you probably want to get the customer on the phone to verify, because sometimes it's not, right? We have customers that are the nicest people, but you read their emails and you would constantly think they're angry. We have customers that I just want to go remove the caps lock key from the keyboard because it's always on. We have customers that just send very terse, short emails, and you read into those things. First of all, I'm an old school internet nerd, and like if you type in all caps, you're yelling at me.
Yeah.
Please don't yell at me.
Yeah.
So you receive those all caps emails, and you immediately assume that they're angry. Well, my wife used to accidentally send me all caps emails or all caps texts because the line of business software they used at their work required them to type in caps.
Oh no. Oh my
So,
God.
so her caps lock key was on, and she would forget, and she would send me emails and texts in all caps, right? So in the manufacturing space and other places like that, it is entirely possible that they're using a line of business app or they're doing stuff that requires them to type in all caps, and it's easy to forget that maybe they're not as angry as you may think they are, or maybe they're actually angry. And the easiest way to determine that is by hearing their voice. Every mode of communication you go down lower. And again, I said we were going to do a whole video on this, and now here I am diving into it.
We're driving. Well, this is all relative.
Yeah. So if you look at I would go this hierarchy, like text message, email, real-time communications platform like Slack, Teams, phone call, video, in person. Every one of those down that list from the top being in person, every one down that list you get to, you lose context clues and information.
Right.
So like when you go from text messages are so short that you can't infer anything, right? Like they're very short to the point, right? Like go up from there, you go to emails, right? Emails tend to be they can be longer form, right? But like there's no interactivity, right? So you're just receiving. It's like broadcast information. You go up a level from there, real time. At least you can ask clarifying questions. Then you go up from there to phone calls. At least with phone calls, you can hear vocal inflection, right? You can understand. Right. When you get to video like this, right, like you can at least get facial expressions and try to read a little bit of body language. And then in person, you can totally read body language. And you lose so much by cutting out those other forms, those other non text based or non audio based forms of communication. You lose so much context, and it's really easy to assume that somebody is feeling differently than they do. And it happens to me all the time. People at our company, including some of the Lawrence guys that work up in Detroit, they don't see me very much, right? Like they interact with me only on Slack. And if you only know me from Slack, you probably think I'm a jerk, right? Like I'm very terse. I'm very to the point. I'm very direct. I occasionally joke around and stuff, but like I send these messages and they're not angry. They're just like, hey, this thing needs taken care of. Right.
Can I read that one email you sent?
I don't know. What is it? When?
Something to the effect of "This is effing ridiculous." Okay, and
yeah,
I'm picking on you because I hang out with you on a regular basis, and I think you're a jerk, anyways. I mean,
yeah, that's fine. I mean, I can be a jerk,
yeah,
but I am often not. It's not serious, and you lose, right? Like you lose the fact that I'm smirking when I'm typing that. Like that doesn't come across in a Slack message, right? Like it's just me being a sarcastic asshole. It's not like me actually being mad.
Right. And it's all about, your perception of sending that is one thing, to the receiver it's another. And I think verbal communication, no matter how you do it, is always the best form of communication. I'm gonna pull up this one. I'm gonna show this guy because I disagree with this. I mean, clients don't want to see you until they want to see you, and then they want.
Oh no, he's not wrong. 100% correct.
Well, hold on. Yes and no, because that goes against the fact of why we do account management. Because
I know. But how many people called Jeff the king of drop-ins? Like more than one.
Yeah, but
right?
but because he was there's the point. It wasn't that he was the king of drop-ins. I think some clients like that. It's the perception was that he was always trying to sell them something.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's where, if you're going to have your client's interaction should not always be a sales call.
Yeah. They shouldn't be. Let's go through these. You ran through them really quick. I actually took the time to add them as little things I can pop up here. See that on the bottom of the screen now?
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, right. So we'll go through them one by one and let's talk about them. I think that's a good way for us to actually convey what we were trying to convey here, right? So like the first one, and the lowest reason that they're gonna probably leave you, I don't know. Why'd you give them to me in this order? This is silly.
Well, because that's the order they come up in, and the way when I present it, it's
okay.
It's
so they die or they're no longer business. Obviously, this is the easiest one. Maybe they sold, right? Like them selling isn't necessarily a reason that you're going to lose them as a client. It is often a reason you're going to lose them as a client. I'm trying to think over the past 3 or 4 years, we've only lost maybe 3, 4 clients.
Right.
And all but 1 or 2 of them were because they sold to they were veterinary clinics that sold to like a PE-backed firm, right? Like, or, they're old people and they retire and they just wind the business down, right? So that's like been the primary driver of how we've lost business. But yeah, I mean, there's really nothing you can do about this one. Like, unless you plan to buy their business, this is unpreventable from
unpreventable.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to number 3 here.
Oh, you want to skip number 2? That's fine. Number 3.
No, I'm just doing them in the percentage order because that makes sense to my brain.
Okay.
So number 3, they're unhappy with the product.
I would say this. I think it's more they're unhappy with the product because they don't understand the product. I think this goes back to some of the aspects of they're not understanding what you're selling them. And that's part of what account management's for, right?
Yeah. And I mean, if they're unhappy with the product, I think it's important to understand why they're unhappy with the product. We definitely have clients that are unhappy with they're unhappy with Mimecast, right? Like Mimecast is a very polarizing thing in everyone's world, including my world, because I often complain about it too. They're like, oh, this is stopping emails that I want to receive, and it's like, yeah, but it's also stopping a ton that you don't want to receive, right? Like, in the good comes with the bad here, right? And we could try to tune it, we could try to make it better, right? But if you're not, that's an instance of a product that they're unhappy with, right? Like in the case of what we're doing here, right, the client is going to probably be unhappy with some component of your stack, right? Like we have a ticket in right now. Hey, exempt me from the DNS filtering you guys do. I'm the owner of the company, right? Like, because they're unhappy with that product. And honestly, right, if we don't get in front of that mentality, then the customer is at jeopardy because they're unhappy with that product. They don't want it on their computer. So we have 3 choices. We can either remove it so that the owner is the least protected person in the whole company. That seems like a poor idea, right? Like we can try to educate the customer as to why they actually do want it, which I would argue is the correct choice in what it
that is the correct choice. Yes.
Or we can just say, no, we're not going to remove it. And we will likely lose the customer over time. Right. So like usually the customer will give you some clues as to why they're unhappy with the product. And then it's on you as account management or as a business owner or sales or even service, right? Like this transcends the entire company to figure out why the customer is unhappy with the product and to try to fix that.
No, I agree. I agree 100% on that. Education, because you can help change someone's perception by educating them.
Yeah. Go to the next one. They're unhappy with the price, 9%.
So understand this. Hold on. This one, people always balk at this when I present this number and this percentage. But think about it. If someone's talking about price and leaving you because of price, they didn't understand the value. And in most cases, they felt like you didn't care about them in most cases. Why am I paying you this kind of money and you're not doing anything for me?
I think they're separate. I actually honestly think they're separate. We have one right now that I think there's probably a good chance that we're going to lose. And honestly, it's
about
just
price.
They literally can't, right? Like they can't afford to pay us what they're paying us. When we took them on as clients, they were upfront about the fact that was likely the case, and they were going to go with it for a year because they needed remediated and they needed everything fixed. And we went down the road of doing that. And now they're like, well, thank you for fixing us. I can't afford you anymore. And, there's a good chance we're going to lose them over price. And there's really nothing you can, like, short of making the price cheaper. I don't know how to fix this one, because if it really is the case that they can't afford you, then they can't afford you, and it's just not a good fit then. And I've done a lot of discussions various places about like the cybersecurity cliff. And from our perspective, that plays a large part into this. We've got customers that like we're expensive, and there are customers that just aren't going to be able to afford us because of that. So I constantly noodle around on how we can fix that a little bit. But yeah, this is one that it's really hard, right? Without compromising on your price, which I would recommend against doing in the general sense.
Yeah, I believe you should never discount your position and what you offer to a client.
Yep. So the next one, they're unhappy with the service, 14%. This one's bigger, right? Like this one,
this is
one,
where
I think this one festers.
taken.
I think these all fester into the last one we're going to talk about, which is the one that I think we've already, beaten to the ground pretty well. This happens to us, right? Like it's almost always a communications problem. I argue that like they're not actually unhappy with the service; they're unhappy with the communication surrounding the service. So they don't understand what you've done. They don't understand what you're doing, right? Like this is one where if you are showing value, then you can move forward. We've lost transparently. We've lost a couple of the Lawrence clients since we merged because they were unhappy with the service, and they just didn't understand. There was some price piece of it too, right? This is a hard one to overcome, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because again, when you look at being unhappy with service, things go awry. Let's face it. There are some things that you can't fix everything. And sometimes them being unhappy with something that you really can't fix. The only way to fix it is to tear it apart and rebuild it. And they don't want to do that. And sometimes it's that they don't want to do what you're telling them needs to be done to fix things.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there again, you can try to work through that with communications and stuff like that, but this can be a tough nut to crack. And then, obviously the last one here is the attitude of indifference. And I think that all of the above ones, right, other than no longer business, if they're unhappy with price, they're unhappy with product, or they're unhappy with service, and you just let it go and you don't address it, then you will almost certainly lose the customer due to an attitude of indifference, because the customer thinks you just don't care. And if the customer thinks you don't care, then they're going to leave. They're going to walk away.
And you have to so no matter how big or small you are, you have to put processes in place to handle this part. If this is the biggest percentage of why clients are going to leave you, why would you not take the time to build on this? Having account management, having the ability to we do surveys of our clients. They have every time a ticket goes out, they get surveyed. They don't all fill it out, but imagine the fact that they're asked, how did it go? I think sometimes clients want to know that first they've been heard. Second is that you actually care about their opinion. Being heard is always, that's humanistic. That's a human thing, right? We want to be heard. We also want people to care about our opinion. And this is where, we have built a thing within our sales team and within the service team of surveying, being in front of the client, having, answering questions. The one thing is, and I was going to get to, and I totally went off track, was the smaller you are, the more you should be doing this, because the smaller you are, the easier it is to put processes in place that will continue as you grow to become a bigger and much larger company. So being small doesn't mean you shouldn't do this. Being small means you should do this even more, because you can build something that you'll surpass your competition as you grow past them, because you're doing the right things for the customer.
It's staying in front of them and trying to do the right thing is definitely the thing here, right? Like when we've seen examples of this, right? Like and with the merger, right? Like we've got a bunch of clients from the LTS side where the customer sent an angry email in, and then you call them Brett, right? Or you these days is usually not Tom, and then they're fine, right? The customer just wants to be heard. They just want to complain to somebody.
Yeah.
And in many cases, it's you. We've gotten to the point now where we're large enough that like I will probably never have a close relationship with a lot of those clients up there, right? Like where there's just too many now. We've reached the size now where I can't know every client. I try to know the big ones and I try to engage with the bigger ones, but it's impossible, right? So you really depend on that account management structure as you grow. But if you're small, I would say, if you're less than 10 employees, less than $1 million, $1.5 million in revenue, that owner should definitely take an interest in, unless they're just really, really bad at it and they're really bad at communicating, they should take an active interest in trying to engage in some of those conversations with the customers. At that size, you're probably not going to have a dedicated person to do VCIO type stuff or have those business or account management discussions, right? Like that is a good use of the owner's time just to try to protect and try to, try help those customers understand their own business and move themselves forward.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're at the 31-minute mark.
Went longer than I intended, but always does.
Well, I think that I'll just do my ending thoughts and you can do yours and close us out of here. The customer really is looking to you for help, right? We are the expert in our field, and the customer is paying us money to be the consultant for them, to take care of them, to help protect them, to lead them down a path. And we can't do that unless we do communicate, unless we do show that we care. Price, 9% leave. Attitude of indifference, 67% leave. Think about what you should focus on. That's just my ending thought.
Yep. So mine is, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, Facebook, various other places where MSPs hang out, right? And if you look at the reasons people are unhappy with bigger companies in our space, one of them that may or may not begin with K, right? Like it is confirmation essentially of all of these things here, right? Like the posts I tend to see are all about company X doesn't care about me, right? They don't care, I'm just a number to them, right? That is an attitude of indifference that at work there, you're seeing that. So as a business owner, you experience this with your own vendors. If you follow the adage of treat your customers like you want to be treated, and you consider those experiences that you have with those bigger companies and how frustrating they are to you, don't let your company be that bigger company to the companies you're servicing, right? Attempt to treat people how you want to be treated, attempt to be good to people, do the right thing. It usually comes back in the end to pay off well.
Absolutely.
That's my final thought.
Absolutely. Well, I think that on that one, business technicalities, we've had fun talking with everybody, and get us out of here, Jason.
Yeah, hit those buttons. I think there's a bell down there or something along those lines. I don't know.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
I'm a bad YouTuber. But anyways, have a good week, everyone. See you later.